Hi, my name's Penny, and as usual, I'm here to talk about some bookish things. Specifically, today I'm going to talk about the new releases that are coming out in January that I'm excited about, as well as some books that I have discovered just recently in the last month and added them to my Goodreads to read list. Basically, these are all the books that I would love to read if I had infinite time. So firstly, I do have 4 new releases that I want to talk about, 3 of which all come out on the 7th of January. So as usual, there's a magical publishing day for this month as well, and it's the 7th of January. So firstly, we've got Come Tumbling Down by Shawnee Maguire. So this is the 5th book in the Wayward Children series, which follows this school for children that have at one time found a magical door, like Narnia or Wonderland, that kind of thing. And then when they've returned to the real world, they have not been very happy about it. So they go to this boarding school so they can learn to adjust and hopefully re-find their door and go back to the magical world where they feel like they belong. So this is a strange series. Each of the books is very short, and we kind of alternate between books that tell a story about what's happening in the school and then a story about someone actually just finding their door and having that first adventure in the magical world that they find. This one, I believe, is kind of a school-based book, but also we've got some well-loved characters coming back from the first and second books. I've seen a few people with advanced copies all giving this good reviews, so hopefully when I get my hands on it, I will love it as well. Another series that is continuing in January is the Slayer series by Keystone. So we've got the second book, Chosen, coming out. This book series is set in the Buffy the Vampire Slayer world, except it's quite far into the comics that continued the Buffy series once the TV show finished. We are following a bunch of characters in the Watcher Academy, as well as the last Slayer. Possibly the last Slayer. I never believe it when they say it's the last Slayer. These are YA books, so I think that put off some people, but personally, I found it just a lot of fun, and I am looking forward to see what happens in the second book. Another book that I recently found out about that is coming out on January the 7th is Keystone by Katie Delahanty. So this is kind of a Black Mirror-esque story. We have this young girl on the social stock exchange. She's decided to become an influencer, but it doesn't go to plan. Things seem to fall apart. I suspect it's going to be very similar to that Black Mirror episode where the same kind of thing happens. So this is a YA sci-fi, so I'm a little bit apprehensive that it will be just quite a basic approach to this story, but still I really enjoy that whole concept of people being obsessed with their social ranking and the impact that that has on their lives. So even though it's a YA, I'm interested to see how this book approaches that concept. Then on the 21st of January, we have the final installment of the Truly Devious series by Maureen Johnson, and that is The Hand on the Wall. This is a mystery series where every book has had a bit of a cliffhanger, and all the things that were revealed in the second book have just made it so hard to wait for the third book. And I hope that my library doesn't take too long to get the audiobook of this series, because I have been listening to the audiobook. I might even be tempted to try and see if I could get a trial of Scribd or something in order to get it earlier. We'll see what happens. But this is a mystery series where this girl named Stevie attends a school for gifted children. Each of the different students has a specialty, and Stevie's is true crime. She's trying to solve the case of these murders that happened at the school 50 years ago. And now some more murders have started happening in the school again. I've really been enjoying the mystery, so of course I'm going to need to find out what happens in the final installment. Okay, so let's also talk about the books that I've just recently added to my Goodreads to read list. So firstly, I've got Missing Since Monday by Anne M. Martin. Last month I did a week of just reading Babysitters Club books. So Anne M. Martin is the author of the Babysitters Club books, which were these middle grade books that I was a big fan of when I was a kid. And then on that video, somebody recommended Missing Since Monday as a book by Anne M. Martin that I might enjoy. Seems to be a story about a girl named Maggie who's taking care of her 4-year-old sister for a week, and then her sister goes missing and she starts getting these threatening phone calls and letters saying that they're going to take her as well. Sounds kind of scary, although I do believe it is a middle grade story, so it shouldn't be too scary, right? Then I've also added to my list From a Shallow Grave by Andy C. Buchanan. So Andy is a New Zealand author that I've followed for a little while on Twitter, and I've really enjoyed some of their previous work. So I am excited to read this book that they've just published. I saw another friend of mine talking about it, and I think I'm actually just going to read the synopsis for this because I don't know how else I would describe this. It says, "This is no ordinary ghost story. Wellington, 1931. 17-year-old Phyllis Simon's body is discovered in the Mount Victoria tunnel construction site. 80 years later, Araha Brooke is determined to save her life." How do you save someone's life 80 years after their body is found? Sounds intriguing to me. Then a book that's completely different, I also added Karen's Witch, which is a Babysitter's Club Little Sister graphic novel. So along with the Babysitter's Club books, there were these Babysitter's Little Sister books, which were about Christy's little stepsister, Karen. And Karen's Witch was the first book in that series, I think. And so they've been doing this release of Babysitter's Club graphic novels, and then Gaia Athena let me know that they're going to be doing the Babysitter's Club Little Sister graphic novels as well. So I'm really interested to see what they will be like, and I'm so sure they'll be super quick to read as well as being super cute. So I'm going to read them. Also added onto my Goodreads to read list is The Villains #3. So apparently Victoria Schwab is going to be writing a third book in the Vicious series. So we've got Vicious and Vengeful, and then another one to come, which that world is so cool because you basically have these extraordinaries who are people with superpowers, but this is slight spoilers for the book, so skip over it if you don't want to know. But the way that people get superpowers in this world is that they have a near-death experience, and whatever they're thinking just as they die is what determines what superpower they'll have. And it's just such a cool concept, and there's so many cool things in this world. And I don't know where Victoria Schwab will go with it next, but I'm super excited to see it regardless of what it is. So the next couple of books that I've added to my Goodreads to read list are both by Kat Howard. I recently read An Unkindness of Magicians and I really enjoyed it. And then I think I saw Ellie from Hardback Hoarder talking about how she likes some of Kat Howard's other stuff, and I thought I better go and have a look at some of this other stuff. So I've added Roses and Rot, which looks like it's some kind of really dark fairy tale, dark magic type of story. And the other one that I've added is A Cathedral of Myth and Bone, which I believe is a short story anthology. I'm not particularly into short story anthologies, but since all the stories are written by an author that I've really enjoyed something by, we'll give it a go and maybe we'll get lucky. Then I have a couple of science fictions because I do want to read a lot more science fiction in the year 2020 because it just seems very appropriate. So the first one I have is The Similars. So this seems to be about this school where some of the students are digitally cloned versions of students that previously died. This is one that Sophia's Thoughts was talking about, and she made it sound really interesting. It was just released in 2019, right at the beginning of the year, so it's a fairly new release and it does look quite interesting. The other science fiction that I've added to my list is The Companions by Katie M. Flynn. So in this book, when people die, they get uploaded to machines, and then if you're rich, no problems, your family will buy you and you can just kind of continue living. But unfortunately, if your family isn't rich enough, then you will be bought by someone else and become some kind of servant forever. This one isn't actually coming out until March, but it was one that Books and Pieces were talking about in her anticipated reads for 2020, and I just really like the idea of being digitally cloned one day. I would like to live forever. I'd like to be digitally cloned, and so I feel like I need to read some books about how this is all going to go wrong so that I can be prepared. And that's it. I was able to keep my adding to my Goodreads list fairly under control this month. Thank goodness, because it's way too many books and I'll never be able to read them. But we can dream. We can hope. Anyway, do let me know if there's any other books that you're excited about being released in January, or any other books that you would recommend to me. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you're having a wonderful day, and I will see you next time.